What's up, everybody? Welcome back to the Retro Review. I'm the Bearded Geek. Joining me as always is Bebo.
What's up, people?
Mikey the Freak could not join us. He had to work. It happened. He had to adult. We are going to be discussing the movie Three Men and a Baby from 1987, starring Ted Danson, Steve Guttenberg, and Tom Selleck. Um, it's bachelors share a New York City apartment with frequent parties and flings with women. One day, a baby named Mary arrives at their doorstep. Uh, it turns out to be Ted Danson's character because he's more of a playboy type character, but he is off on assignment in Turkey shooting like a B movie or something like that. So it starts off with Steve Guttenberg and Tom Selleck having to take care of this baby for like 5 days. But the subplot of the story was before Ted left, his agent was at a party that they were having, asked Ted if they could be, if he could have a package delivered to his house, and in a couple days, some guys will come pick it up. Um, Tom Selleck and Steve Guttenberg think that the baby is the package because once the baby arrives, they're going crazy with the baby, and then the actual package arrives. It's like a little package about like this, a little small package that they kind of just put off to the side, don't even worry about it because they're trying to deal with this infant. I mean, it's like a 7-month-old baby, I think, is what they.
Yeah, it was extremely little.
Yeah, I think they tried to say it was like a 7-month-old baby, but they've never taken care of a baby before. They don't know what they're doing. They do the typical '80s. I don't know what I'm doing. You take care of the baby. No, you take care of the baby. Oh my God, the baby made a doodle, so they have to. So they're like trying to figure out how to put a diaper on. It's your typical I don't know what I'm doing type movie when easily they could call their mom or something and
Learn as you go.
yeah. But anyway, 5 days pass and uh, there's a knock on the door. The guy is there to pick up the package, so they hand him the baby. And and some powdered milk. And they're like, "Oh, I get it. Powdered milk."
Powdered milk.
Yeah. So they take the baby and stuff and they go downstairs and they have like this little tiny car. How are they gonna, no car seat or
A
nothing?
two-seater convertible.
Yeah. Well, put the baby in the trunk. What? So once they hand the baby down, they're kind of relaxing on the couch and like something don't feel right. And Tom Selleck's character finds the package beneath the cushions of the seat, and then he's like, "Oh man, what is this?" So it's like this is the package. They made a huge mistake. So they run downstairs. Tom's running down through the lobby. He trips magically on the carpet and busts the box open, and inside, heroin. Of course, it's heroin. It's an '80s movie, right?
Just a little bit.
Yeah. So, so he's like, "Oh, I don't know what to do." So he goes down, gets the baby. He's trying to get the baby back from the guy, and a cop on a horse shows up, and he's like,
As they do in New York.
"Yeah, as they do," and he's like, "Give me the baby." No, I just want the baby. Blah blah blah. So the cop's there and kind of diffuses the situation a little bit, slows the aggression. The bad guy lets go of the baby, but keeps the powdered milk. And but the package is still in Tom Selleck's pocket because he didn't want to give him the drugs. So they go upstairs. The detective comes upstairs. The narcotics agent goes upstairs because apparently they've been following the package, or they've been following the agent that the the agent from Ted Danson's character. He's an agent, and on the side, he sells drugs. So basically, that's your subplot, is a drug mob boss type subplot. But the main story is them taking care of the baby and falling in love with the baby. And these bachelor solo guys now found like somebody to love, and it's really
That's become more important than anything else, basically, for them.
exactly. So by the end, they come up with this huge plan to trap the guys. It's a far-fetched plan that they trap them in an elevator. The cops come. They videotape it, saying that they had no part of it. Go see the movie. I mean, I'm giving a short synopsis for you for this movie. It is just
To fill into everything that happens in the movie, it would take way too long. It's definitely something you need to watch so you can get the best feel and understanding what's going on. Because there's a lot of little stories mixed in with this giant story about three good dudes finding a baby on their doorstep.
it really is. It's a fun movie.
Yes.
There were parts that did make me laugh because I like 80s comedy. But as far as highly suggestible, I we'll get into that later. Anyway, the mom ends up coming back for the baby, and she ends up going. She's going to take the baby to Britain.
England.
Yeah, England. Going to take the baby to England. So they rush to the airport just in the nick of time to see the plane pull away from the runway and take off. So they're all sad and boo-hooing, and they when they arrive back to the apartment, who's there but the mom, crying, saying, I can't do it. I'm a single mom. I don't know how I'll take care of the baby and do my job. And they're like, well, you can stay here. You and the baby can stay here. We'll be a family. And big, happy 80s ending. They're now a family. 3 men, the mom and the baby are going to live in this apartment. So that's your 3 men and a baby movie. There's not much to it other than that. There's some funny parts in it. Going over the whole movie, just to me, is not worth it.
Yeah, no, a lot of it is going to be the humor within the movie itself about them just trying to take care of this baby, not knowing what they're doing. Right. And you can't really go into that part of the storyline without just basically telling all the jokes and stuff that's happened in that area. So it's definitely one of those movies that you would have to watch to really understand everything that's going on in it. I mean, you've got 3 guys who are somewhat successful because they have a nice penthouse apartment, first off, in New York, of all places. Tom Selleck's character was an architect.
Ted Danson is an actor.
And then Steve Guttenberg's character is a artist. And in fact, one of the things I loved about the movie, which you see in both the opening and the closing, is the mural done in the little foyer area when you step out of the elevator before you get to their door, that Steve Guttenberg character's Michael did in there. And it was I just liked it. It was really cool to see, him working on it, but then seeing the final product. And then what I loved is at the end of the movie, they added the baby and the mom in it on the wall and stuff. So that was kind of cool.
It was cool. It was really cool. There are some there is like a big folklore with this movie. The rumored ghost boy in the window. Okay, everybody, it is not a ghost boy in the window. It is a cutout of Ted Danson dressed in like a tuxedo, I believe.
A tuxedo and a top hat. And I don't get how this thing started, because you can clearly see that that's what it is.
Oh, clearly. Not to mention that a couple scenes later, Ted is at the window. He's at the window, and you see it largely. It is huge.
Yes,
It's a large
and they're
cutout.
like, no, it's a little boy in the building where this thing was filmed. First off, it was filmed on a soundstage, so there was no building. Okay, and how are you going to say it's a little boy when it's a dude in a tuxedo that you can clearly see? You can clearly see it's Ted Danson. And what I loved about this is everyone's like, you could sort of see it in the background. It's literally like one of those sheer cloth type of curtains that's in front of it. It's
Yeah.
see-through. You can definitely see what it is. So I don't get how that myth got started, but I thought it was one of the dumbest things in the world.
I'm guessing back when it first came out and it was on VHS, it was grainy maybe. Maybe they've cleaned it up since then, since it's you can see this movie on Disney Plus right now, by the way, if you would like. I believe that as of right now, that is the only streaming platform that it's on.
It's the only one I could find it on.
Yeah. So, but it's that is one of the biggest rumors and myths with this movie was the ghost of a boy in the window, which has been confounded to be untrue. So, is there any other do you have any other fun facts about this movie, Brian?
Yeah, I've got a couple of trivia things here. So, one thing it lists here is that it was the highest grossing movie of 1987 for the United States.
Oh, wow.
Which I can kind of see that's kind of the heyday for all three actors and for all three of them to be in one movie together.
That is true. This was their prime. This was Steve Guttenberg at his in his prime. This was definitely Tom Selleck in his prime, and Ted Danson in his prime. Ted Danson in this movie had a great head of hair.
Yes, he did. Yes, he did. You can throughout the movie when they're showing the diapers and stuff, you can clearly see that it's the Pampers brand. Pampers. Now, keep in mind this is back in '87, so this was a good chunk of money back then. But they actually paid $50,000 for their brand of diapers to be used in the film.
Oh, wow.
One thing I thought was kind of cool is out of the three men who starred in it, Ted Danson was the only one who was actually married, and he had been married for a long time. 2 weeks during the rehearsal period, Tom Selleck and Steve Guttenberg would take Ted Danson out, visiting a few like Toronto nightclubs, bars, and restaurants and stuff like that, so that he could kind of rekindle for all of them, but kind of rekindle the bachelorhood type of experience of being able to go out and party and stuff like that. One thing that I didn't realize until I started looking stuff up on this is the fact that this was directed by none other than Leonard Nimoy, who played Spock in yes, very good. Played Spock in Star Trek. Toward the end of filming, the babies who ended up that they used to play the baby Mary were less entranced by the actors around her than by the microphone and boomstick. So they would just start following that around and not pay attention to the actors. And Leonard Nimoy and the other crew members had to start hiding the microphone and disguising it from the baby's view so that they could get the scenes they wanted.
Oh, that's pretty funny, actually.
Let's see here. Tom Selleck on a Tonight Show with Jimmy Fallon said that back when he did that in the movie poster that you see of them where he's holding the baby that he was holding actually peed on him when they took that photo. And one thing I thought was kind of funny, and I could kind of see this being the case, is that director Leonard Nimoy had some arguments and differences on sets with the lead actors. According to Steve Guttenberg, Tom Selleck and Ted Danson were used to being bosses of their own television shows, which back then would have been Magnum PI and Cheers.
Right.
But they soon had to learn who the real boss was that was in charge, which would have been Leonard Nimoy. And Guttenberg's quoted as saying, Leonard was a good director, and being an actor, he knew the problem actors face, although times I think he forgot. It was also the highest grossing remake of a French film in U.S. box office history. It was $167,780,960. Let's see here. And apparently the role of Jack that was played by Ted Danson, according to Steve Guttenberg's autobiography, said that Michael J. Fox and Tony Danza were both considered for the role first.
Ooh, that would have been
That
weird
would
to
have been
see Michael.
interesting.
Yeah, Michael J. Fox would have been kind of. Yeah, that'd be odd.
Yeah.
That'd be odd because there'd be a huge height difference, I would imagine, between, uh, like, uh, everybody with Michael J. Fox because he's kind
Yeah.
of short, and I keep want to say Magnum PI. It's not Magnum PI.
It's Tom Selleck.
It's Tom Selleck. Tom Selleck's huge. He's a big guy.
Yeah. Let's see here. Kind of an interesting little bit is the black and white checkered shirt that Tom Selleck wore at the beginning and at the very end of the movie is the same shirt that Alec Baldwin wore in Beetlejuice.
Oh, that is an interesting fact.
And then the another interesting thing about like actors who were originally thought of for playing the roles, Steve Guttenberg's character, Michael Kellum, was the people who were originally thought of for that role were Tom Hanks, Michael Keaton, John Travolta, and Bruce Willis.
Ooh. You know what? I could see several people playing that role, but Gutenberg, that was his heyday.
Yeah, that was, and I liked him in that role. I thought he did good as Michael.
I did. I did too.
Now, for as you call it, Magnum PI, his character.
It's Tom Selleck.
Yes, the people who were originally considered for that role: Chevy Chase, Steve Martin, Bill Murray, Jack Nicholson. Oh, and this one would have been hysterical. Arnold Schwarzenegger.
The baby made a doodle.
But those are just some of the things that they had about it. Now, in regards to like sequels about the movie, it had one sequel, Three Men and a Little Lady, which the little girl Mary, or the baby, is grown up. She's just in elementary school and stuff like that. They're all living together, and the mom ends up getting engaged to a British man that I think was a director or something like that for a play or something. But anyways, it ends up taking place back in England. They end up going back there, and there's like a whole stuff that then is there. I thought it was a decent sequel for the premise of this. Did it really need to be done?
No, it did not.
No.
I don't recall watching the sequel. I didn't. That was not part of our assignment. So if you watched it, good for you.
I know this is strictly out of memory.
Oh, okay. Yeah, I do not recall watching Three Men and a Little Lady.
But this movie, 3 Men and a Baby, it's definitely one that to me is worth watching just because of the one-liners and the comedy that's in it alone. I liked it.
Does it hold up to today's standards?
Hell no.
No.
If it wasn't a movie that I grew up on like I did, where I knew it, and like me and my parents, we quote a lot of movies from my childhood, and that's actually one of them. We'll quote some stuff from there. But like if I would have just sat down today not knowing anything about the movie and just tried to watch it, within about probably 10 minutes, I'm playing Xbox or something. I'm done with it.
Yeah, I'm kind of in the same boat. I don't think it holds up. It does not need to be remade. There's been several other movies similar to this, but this was just it don't need to be remade. It does not hold up.
What would you rate it?
If I was to rate this movie, I would give this out of 10, 3. I'd give it a 3.
It's probably purely for the nostalgic point of mine, and actually knowing the movie so well growing up, is I would probably give it about a 5, maybe a 5.5 out of 10, strictly for nostalgic purposes. I wouldn't give it any higher than that, just because I know that if you're a first-time person who's seeing it, it may not hold your interest. But it's a movie that I would recommend to friends, whether or not they watch it. Completely different story.
See, this is not a movie I would recommend at all.
See, I would, just because I like the comedy and stuff in there. In fact, I was talking to my mom about this movie the other day when I was talking to her, and there's a part in the movie where Jack, who's Ted Danson's character, they leave the baby with him. And he has to start taking care of the kid. They're like, we put our lives on hold for however long it was. Now it's your turn, Jack. And there's a scene where Steve Guttenberg and Tom Selleck's characters go out with 2 dates to the play. Mm-hmm. And Ted Danson's in the shower with the baby, and they're taking a shower and stuff. Well, they keep trying to call him. There's no answer. So they come rushing home from the play, trying to figure out what's wrong. Or, oh my God, we called, Jack. We called several times. Da-da-da. Now, keep in mind, this is also before cell phones. So they were calling from pay phones to a house phone, and then no answer. They were rushing back. And everything was okay. And then the next thing you see is them putting a phone in the shower. Yeah. Now, here's the sad part about this. It shows kind of how old I was when the movie came out. Steve Guttenberg makes a joke in this scene where the phone dude's there, and he's putting the phone in, and he goes, y'all get many calls in here. And Steve Guttenberg says it's steady stream, because it's in the shower. Yeah. Did not understand that joke till many years later. I literally was like, with my mom, I was like, you want to know what's real sad about that scene? She goes, what? I was like, I didn't get that joke until I was like way older. To me, it was just something in there, and I never got the fact that it was in the shower, steady stream. Yeah. Then it made sense, and I was just like, oh, I was probably a little too young when I watched this then. But it was a good movie, at least for me and my family. I mean, mind you, we grew up with it, but again, like I said, if somebody was looking for an older movie to watch, I would maybe recommend it. Don't get me wrong, there's millions other things I would recommend first, but I would recommend this to people. But I don't think it would hold up for people, especially those who never saw it when they were younger or anything like that.
I'm gonna tell you right now, if somebody was to recommend older movies from the 80s to watch that are more family friendly and party, I would not even come up with this movie. This movie, once we are done with this vodcast, it's probably going to be erased from my memory. I am probably not going to. It's just one of those things that I forgot about this movie completely until it was brought up to watch. So it's one of those things to where I won't remember it. I just won't remember it. It's not memorable.
Sadly enough, I will, but that's just because I've spent way too much of my life watching movies, and I can remember those. Couldn't tell you what happened, last week at, work, but I can tell you about a movie from 1987, not a problem. But no, I mean, it's a good feel-good movie. It's got some comedy in it and stuff, but yeah, it definitely doesn't hold up anymore. It's definitely something they do not need to try to remake at all. No. We don't have in my opinion, for this type of movie with the people we have now, we don't have the actors I think that could pull off this type of movie anymore. No, but it's also the premise itself is kind of just weak to even try and do this as a remake.
I could honestly, if they were to try to recast this, I can see them using somebody like Chris Hemsworth,
Zac Efron.
Zac Efron, and maybe, I don't know.
Let's be honest. It would probably be something weird like Zac Efron, The Rock, and Kevin Hart or something like that in these roles.
There you go. 3 Men and a Baby, 2001. Hopefully not coming to a theater near you. All right, everybody. I do believe that does it for this episode of the Back to the Retro Review. Keep an eye out. We are going to start a new VOD. It is going to be a Psych review. The TV show Psych. We're going to review that episode by episode.
Come on, son.
Hopefully every week. I'm excited for this. This is probably one of my top 5 favorite shows of all time.
I love Psych, and in fact, I just got done rewatching the entire series probably about a month ago.
Well, there you go. Time to rewatch again.
Yeah, I love it. It's the thing I like about that show is that it is something that I think anyone would love. So I'm looking forward to starting that up.
I do too. All right. So thanks for watching, everybody. Keep it retro.